were to examine once again the 9/11 Commission report, the thing that I was able to glean from that more than any one other thing was that they were at war with us. We weren't at war with them. Now Barack Obama says it's either a man-caused disaster or an overseas contingency operation. How dangerous is that to not call it what it is? Is there still a war on terror? He just doesn't have the courage to say it's a war on terror?
I think he hit on a key point, Sean, because 9/11 was absolutely crucial. And I think one of the most important things we did in the aftermath of 9/11 was to decide that you could no longer deal with an attack of terror upon the United States as a law enforcement problem. You didn't just plow through the rubble, for example, in Oklahoma City and find the identification number on the U-Haul truck or the rental truck that McVeigh used to blow up that federal building. That's the way we did it in the past. You go out and investigate the crime and punish the criminal. Once we got hit on 9/11 and lost 3,000 people that day, we recognized, and it was one of the key decisions President Bush made, that this is not a law enforcement problem. It is a strategic threat to the United States. It's a war. And based on that, we then adopted a whole set of policies that flowed out of that proposition. We were prepared to use military force. We were prepared to go after not only the terrorists, but those who sponsor terror and provide sanctuary and safe harbor for them. We were prepared to use our intelligence assets the way we would against an enemy that threatened the United States itself. To put in place, for example, things like the terror surveillance program and to have a robust interrogation program on detainees. Those are the acts you take when you feel you're at war and that the very existence of the nation is threatened. Now I worry when I hear the new administration knock down those policies and imply they're not going to use them, but also when they now say that the war on terror has been changed. It's now overseas contingency operations.
Does that seem like a weakness? Is that telegraphing weakness?
I think it does, and I think it says to the world out there that this is no longer a war. This is law enforcement. And our most important obligation, responsibility, is to read their rights to the people we capture. That we're going to treat them, we're going to Mirandize them before we do anything else. And I spent so many mornings sitting in my office and then in the Oval Office of the President, going over the briefings, looking at al-Qaeda, looking at what their plans were, knowing that they were seeking nuclear weapons, knowing that the next deadly attack could well be al-Qaeda in the middle of one of our own cities, not with airline tickets and box cutters, but with a nuclear weapon or a biological agent. The threat is there. It's very real, and it's continuing. And what the Obama people are doing, in effect, is saying, well, we don't need those tough policies that we had. Now that says either they didn't work, which we know is not the case. They did work. They kept us safe for 7 years, or that now somehow the threat's gone away. There's no longer a threat out there. We don't have to be as tough and aggressive as the Bush administration was. I think that's a mistake. I think that's a misreading of the circumstances we find ourselves in. I thought, yesterday this whole exercise on detainees and on releasing the legal memos, all of the professionals, the
4 CIA directors,
former CIA directors,
Leon Panetta, said it was dangerous.
All said it was dangerous, that this is something we shouldn't do. I worry about that. I also noticed yesterday we didn't have any national security figures out there explaining the new policy. Or why we were scrubbing these old programs. It was the political spokesmen that were out there. That bothers me. I think that says something about the mindset that this is being done essentially to appease a certain element of the Democratic Party, or because of campaign commitments that were made in last year's campaign. But it's not being done, nor is it being accepted and sorted and explained based on the views of the experts who deal with national security.
Can I sum it up in saying you think they're naive, that they don't? Is it that they don't understand the nature of evil in the world? I mean, and we'll get into maybe some of the specifics. Would you shake hands with Hugo Chavez? Would you sit through a 50-minute diatribe of Daniel Ortega? Would you go to Mexico and apologize as if America caused Mexico's problems? Would you bow before the Saudi king? There seems to be a lot of instances here Very different philosophy. You know, he said we're at war with the Muslim world, just to give you a few. I thought we just liberated, meaning America, I thought we just liberated 50 million people in the Muslim world between Iraq and Afghanistan. When you put all these together, you know, what do you conclude? Do you conclude they're naive, that maybe they don't understand the nature of the war on terror?
Yes, basically. I think there's the assumption seems to predominate on the other side that the reason there's been problems in the world is because of U.S. activity, U.S. conduct. We're the bad guys. We're the ones that lead people to become terrorists. We're the ones that generate the kind of criticism that has given Al-Qaeda an excuse to come attack the United States. I don't think that's true. I don't think they needed any excuse when they came here on 9/11 and killed 3,000 of us. I don't think as we strip ourselves of important capabilities in terms of our interrogation program for detainees, I don't think there are members of Al-Qaeda out there around the world this morning say, oh, gee whiz, isn't that great? Barack Obama and his administration are no longer going to ask our guys tough questions when they capture them. Now maybe we won't behead their people when they capture them. I mean, it's just, it says something about a mindset that I worry about very much. And I think there's a problem out there nationally in the sense that we are 7.5 years, almost 8 years now, away from 9/11. And a lot of people would like to forget it and believe that the threat is gone, it's diminished, it's disappeared. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And one of the worst things we could do is to start to act now as though the attack of 9/11 is a thing of the past and will never be repeated. That's just not true.
And coming up, Karl Rove is here. He'll join me with reaction to my interview with